Is Domain using fear of missing out to encourage new home buyers? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I have my stein of coffee and I thought this morning we'd have a look at this article from Domain, the real estate selling website. And it's a little concerning. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but it looks like it's just a standard fear of missing out tactic, a psychological tactic in selling. You'll see it often. Nintendo are masters of it, where they'll only produce limited supplies of their products. I've got my little Nintendo NES here, and the first time it came out, the NES Mini, they had a limited supply, so there's a lot of demand. The same thing affects people with every single purchasing decision. They'll say, hurry, limited supply, limited time only, or only for the first 10 people to sign up. All these techniques, it's persuasion, selling techniques. And, we all fall for it. Even if you're aware of it, you can hopefully become aware of it, but still, emotions can take over. And no more than with house purchases. So, Sydney first home buyers warned property prices won't drop much further. Okay, wow, that's great. So, Tawa, you obviously have great predictive powers there to be able to make that claim. I'd like to see the modelling you used to justify that. So it wasn't until Sydney was in the depths of its property price downturn, okay, maybe it's just the dead cat bounce, we'll see, that Sasha Hartley really committed to buying. The 26-year-old marketing executive secured financial support from her parents in the form of a guarantor loan in order to secure her mortgage. That's the scary part. Okay, there's one thing where, mum and dad chip in some money. But there's another thing where they're actually a guarantor on the loan. So if you default on it, they're kind of screwed as well. I applied for pre-approval after the Banking Royal Commission report was handed down, she said. All these restrictions came into place, and we had to jump through a lot more hoops. She faced a lot more scrutiny into her spending patterns, which included her Netflix and Spotify subscriptions. Okay, I don't know why anyone bothers with Netflix these days, to be honest. It's just garbage to me. Someone let me know why. Is Netflix any good? We had it, and when I went through my cost-cutting phase, it was one of the first things to go without any complaints. Spotify, didn't they get rid of that here in Australia? Or I'm thinking of Pandora, aren't I? But my music tastes are quite old-fashioned anyway. It took her 3 months before she found a property, by which time her pre-approval had expired and she had to go through the entire process again. She eventually bought an apartment in Alexandria. Since she bought, 2 interest rate cuts, the election results, and changes to lending rules have added more to the positive property sentiment, which has caused the downturn to inch closer to its end sooner than expected. Positive property sentiment. Is there a positive property sentiment? And let's just, I'll bring up some data here to have a look. Hang on, I'll pull my reference up with regards to our consumer confidence that we have here in Australia. Well, now, first, let's look at our GDP growth that's heading down. And if you look at it per capita, it's going at a negative rate. And you look at property price predictions in Sydney, units and housing are expected to go down. And if we look at, hang on, let me just find it. So we can see that consumer confidence is trending down for consumers and for businesses as well. So, but there's a positive property sentiment. Maybe I'm just in a different news cycle, what I'm consuming, the data I'm looking at. Because we'll look at a few other indicators of where it's actually sitting. But, if consumer confidence is down, if business confidence is down, if GDP is going lower or trending down, unemployment is trending down. The Roy Morgan index for unemployment is double what the ABS is saying. Sure, that all screams of a positive property sentiment. I guess the fact that so much of Sydney property is having construction issues as well now that we're discovering, and the market was significantly overheated, insanely overheated due to foreign investment. Yeah, I think it definitely has a way to go with regards to price falls, but that's just my humble opinion. So Domain's June house report, house price report released on Thursday showed price declines had slowed for the first time since the downturn began in December 2017. So it's slowing down. Okay. I think first home buyers would like to see prices fall further, but that doesn't look like it's happening, said Trent Wiltshire, Domain economist. Okay. He's got a conflict of interest. He has a conflict of interest because he's working for Domain. Where's the counterpoint? Where's the counter argument? This isn't a scholarly piece of work. It's not an academic piece of work, is it? It's journalism. We have to read it as such and understand that there'll be inherent bias in this piece, which is fine, but people are going to make decisions based on this type of stuff. He said if the market was near bottom as forecast, it would be a good time for first homeowners to purchase property. So he didn't say it was at the bottom, but he's just saying if it is, it would be. So he's, this correction has helped with affordability, but it still remains a big problem with Sydney being the most expensive city to buy in Australia. While prices have returned to 2015-2016 levels, Mr. Wiltshire said wages had grown slowly since that time. Had they grown at all? He also acknowledged interest rate reductions as a big factor of improved affordability. Paying off a mortgage has become easier. The big challenge, of course, is saving for that deposit for first home buyers, and with price rising, that's more challenging, he said. I mean, the amount in Sydney that people pay for these things. What I've just looked at in previous videos, $1 million for a little a 3-bedroom dog box. Nearly 800,000 for a 1-bedroom little box. It's just insane. And if people knew how cheap these bloody things were to build, they'd just be crazy. So, industry experts said, as a rule of thumb, owner-occupiers would usually be granted a loan not more than 5 to 6 times their annual household income. 5 to 6 times their annual income. To get a loan of 6 times their income, which is considered high, borrowers would often need to show they have no dependents, no other debt, and reasonable living expenses. The actual loan size granted may often be smaller as borrowers have to prove they can keep up with repayments. The average 21 to 34-year-old earns 58 grand a year, ABS figures show. An average dual income couple in this age bracket who managed to borrow 5 times their household income and accumulate a 20% deposit will be looking at properties worth $732,000. An average single person in the same situation will be looking at properties worth $366,000. 732 grand. Wow, that's just crazy at that age range. For only 60 grand, that's wow. Yeah, guys, it's going to keep going up. Yep. I'm worried that people get into this trap and then they will. Why aren't they talking about what's happening over in Western Australia? What about the high levels of mortgage stress that Martin North is talking about? Why isn't that being brought onto the table? What's going on here, guys? Is this just because they don't like his approach to this analysis when it's a big part of your day-to-day living, the mortgage costs? For us, it's number one, and then food. Buyers agents recommend first home buyers have their finance approved and use a mortgage broker because they can negotiate better deals and potentially larger borrowing capacity. Oh, fantastic. Oasis Skiing buyer's agent Paul Wilcox said buyers needed to think like an investor, taking the emotion out of the process and sticking to the walkaway price. Be confident when talking to agents. Know the area you're looking to buy in. Follow sales and listings so you can be as knowledgeable as the agent. Try to buy before, if not move on. And don't get emotionally invested. That's going to be hard. That's part of the role of the real estate agent, is to get you emotionally invested. That's what they do. Move quickly when offering as speed wins and get to know key agents in the area. Call them regularly as a good way to get information. He said first home buyers should remember it was a first property purchase and not a forever home. Well, for 700 grand, it may be a forever home, guys. Particularly, no one wants to have children these days. So, Mr. Wilcox suggested Randwick, Crow's Nest, Drimmen and Earlwood were good value suburbs for first home buyers for their proximity to transport and the CBD. I'd be looking for NBN. I'm working from home. There's one thing, the government is trying to encourage more people to the regions, or more migrants to go to the regions. I would suggest if they were to get NBN and then zonal taxation, maybe anyone who worked in the regions didn't have to pay any tax for any income they earned from online activities. What do you reckon? So all the YouTubers, all the game streamers, anyone who's selling stuff on PayPal, no tax if they live in the regions. What do you think? You like that idea? I think that's a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea, Florian. So First Home Buyers Associate Director Taj Singh warned first home buyers from panic buying. Good point. There will be plenty of opportunities, especially as the number of properties on the marketplace picks up over spring. If a property has been on the market for more than 50 to 60 days, buyers were more likely to get a bargain after negotiating with the agent, Mr. Singh said. He said good value suburbs for first home buyers included Hornsby, Blacktown, Merrickville, and Leppington. I'll learn to read one day, guys, don't worry. It'll just take practice. All areas that have properties under the various government exemption thresholds. LJ Hooker Newtown Director Nick Moriartis reported an influx of buyers and more confidence at auctions since the election. He said low stock levels were not helping buyers and advised first home buyers at an auction to be more aggressive. Of course he did. I'm also seeing a lot more parental involvement than ever before. They're drawing the checks, he said. So let's have a look at some information here. So what we've got is we've got the Australian House Price Index, and I will just zoom in. There we go. From Trading Economics. So the House Price Index in Australia dropped by 3% quarter on quarter in the 3 months to March 2019, worse than market expectations of a 2.5% fall, following a 2.5% decrease in the previous quarter. It was the biggest decline on record, okay? The biggest decline on record, guys. But, positivity in the property sector is returning. The biggest decline on record. As prices of properties fell in all capital cities, Sydney down 3.9, Melbourne 3.8, Brisbane 1.5, Darwin 1.8, Perth 1.1, Canberra 0.9, Hobart 0.4, and Adelaide 0.2. Every capital city, Melbourne and Sydney, are the most of our property wealth in this country. Throughout the year to March, home price prices slumped 7.4% after falling 5.1% in the prior quarter. These results are in line with soft housing market indicators, with sales, transactions, and auction clearance rates lower than 1 year ago, and days on market trending higher, said ABS chief economist Bruce Hockman. So it's taking longer to sell, clearances are lower. Housing index in Australia averages 1.43% from 2009 to 2019. Okay, so the biggest drop ever. But remember, don't worry guys, domain people are telling us it's all adding to the positive. Where the hell are they getting this positive outlook for? Okay, the positive property sentiment, where is that coming from? How can they make that claim? Okay, with the housing price index, quarter on quarter, the biggest drop ever in history. Every city rates percentage decline. Okay, how are they making that claim? Consumer confidence is down, business confidence is down. Where's the positive property sentiment? So, and let's have a look at another one here, is the new home sales. So you can see we've got a jump, huge jump. So Australian new home sales increased by 28.8% month over month in May 2019, the most in over a year, following an 11.8% drop a month earlier. The improvement in new home sales was boosted by confidence following the end of the federal election, with banks starting to lend again, as well as lower interest rates and an expectation that APRA will implement reforms to mortgage lending guidelines. So was it people just trying to get in? They were waiting for the election. Wait, I forgot to bring over here. They were waiting for the election and they just happened to get into the process. Made sure they got their mortgage before APRA brought in changes. Across the region, new home sales jumped in all 4 major cities: New South Wales, Western Australia, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia. New home sales in Australia averaged 8,347.9, How can you have a point in time? Anyway, from 1999 until 2018, reaching an all-time high of 20,792. 20,768 in March of 2001, and record low of 4,000 in August of 2018. So, I mean, there you go. There you go. So it's gone up, but I would hazard a guess that that's to do with the election results, people concerned of APRA changes, trying to get in quick. So, I put money that's a blip. That's a blip, and we'll see. And then we've got Australian home loans. The number of new loans granted for owner-occupiers in Australia was unchanged at 46,600 in May. Home loans in Australia averaged 39,000. So there you go, reaching an all-time high of 63,000. So we're at 46,000 at May. So we'll see how it goes the next quarter when we get the data. But it's interesting to see, all these claims with that, positive property sentiment. I'm still not very confident with it. I mean, we can look again. People are predicting that housing prices will fall. Maybe it's the turnaround. Let me know what you all think, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you later today. Bye for now.